Hello and welcome to IVF Parent. I'm your host, Stephanie Caballero, and I'm so excited to welcome you to our very first episode. IVF Parent is a space created for real conversations about fertility, the hopes, the dreams, the challenges, the questions that no one prepares you for, and the many different paths to becoming a parent. In today's episode, I'm so excited to speak with Hilary Smith. She's the head of international development at Extraordinary Conceptions, which is one of the largest and oldest surrogacy and egg donation agencies in the world. Hilary started in this industry at an IVF center and working in third-party parenting. She is also a nurse, and now she's on the agency side, so she brings all that, her skill set, to each case when she's working with intended parents, surrogates, and egg donors. And her intended parents are from her side of the world. She is in the UK, but they are looking to do their surrogacy and egg donation journey in either the United States and Mexico, United States, Mexico, Canada. I cannot tell you how many countries and all the things. So she is such a great person to talk to about all things on the agency side. And she believes, just like I do, that we really want to see everybody who wants to become a parent become one. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and this is IVF Parent. Okay, so I have Hilary Smith with me from Extraordinary Conceptions, and we're going to learn a little bit about her. I just want to let you know that I started IVF Parent because I was an IVF parent a very long time ago, though. My children are 24, so it's been a little minute. But it was very, very different. There was one surrogacy agency when my doctor told me that I needed surrogacy. One. There was like 5 clinics, I think. You know, a couple on the West Coast. There was one in Virginia, maybe a couple in New York, one in Chicago. So it wasn't confusing at all. You could either afford the agency or you couldn't. I had 8 years of IVF. I couldn't afford it. I was kind of tapped out. Luckily, I had a cousin who offered to be my surrogate. And so, like I said, now I have my children. But as I've been doing this for 20 years, I thought, oh my gosh, my poor clients. There's people that come to me and they're like, I got stuck with this agency. I got stuck with this agency. I haven't found a surrogate. I mean, in like a year and a half. So this is why I started it, to help people who need a doctor, who need a surrogate, who need an egg donor, help them in their journey just a little bit, right? And if it helps somebody, that's great. If I help just one person, that's great, right? And Hilary and I work together a lot. And so we're going to be talking about all things for an agency. She is also a nurse, so she has that background. So welcome, Hilary. And this is very casual, so just be yourself.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Stephanie. Very excited to chat.
Welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so tell me about yourself. Like, how did you get started? Maybe talk about the nursing background and the clinic stuff that you did in the beginning.
Yeah, so originally, I've been a nurse for over 15 years, but originally started in pediatrics and then moved to fertility and just did a little bit of cycle monitoring for a little bit before moving into donor and surrogacy. Really love that because it just puts that like a little bit of extra into the whole fertility world. I thought it was a bit more interesting, a little bit more complex, which I liked. And then moved into the international side of it. This was in Canada. This was years ago now. This was almost 7 years ago now that back in Canada I worked at the clinic. And we worked with Extraordinary Conceptions at the clinic. They were one of the only U.S. agencies we were working with at the time. Absolutely loved them. One of the best agencies we worked with. So when I moved to the UK and they were looking to expand more in Europe and wanted someone out there, I was like, I'm out here. Yeah, I was like, hi, because I knew one of the other employees through the clinic as well in Canada. So we connected, and I was like, oh, put me in touch and I'll chat with them. And so that's how I sort of got into this role. And now I'm the head of the international team at Extraordinary Conception. So I get to, yeah, it's very exciting. I love it. I get to manage all of the international clients and go to events and promote our company and, teach intended parents about the surrogacy process and the steps and help with matching. So it is it's a busy job, a lot of moving parts, but I absolutely love it. It keeps me really busy and stimulated and really interesting.
I remember one guy we talked to who used to work for an agency and now works on the clinic side for an IVF physician. I remember what he said, and he misses being able to watch the whole journey because he just watches the first 10 weeks. Because, right, when you're with a clinic, it's just the first 10 weeks. So where you went on the clinic side, I mean, if they came back and showed you the baby or sent you pictures, but when you're on the clinic side, it's just the first part, right? And then now that you're on the agency side, you see the whole thing.
From start to finish. Yeah, that's actually definitely a good point. Yeah, because once they graduate from the IVF clinic, you kind of are like, hopefully you send some pictures to me later, which oftentimes they did. My whole office at the clinic was full with baby pictures. But now we get to actually like keep that personal connection for an extended time, which is amazing because the agency is sort of, in my opinion, your main point of contact from point A to point Z before a match even happens, all the way until you're back home with your baby. And because I live in Europe, I also get to support them after the birth as well. And we obviously continue to support the surrogates as well. So it is definitely a start to finish type deal. And we still stay in touch with so many of our intended parents, and we visit them around the globe when we do these little road shows everywhere. And so it's just amazing.
I love that. That is the best part for me. Like when we were at the conference this past weekend and we got to see the baby.
Oh my God, the best. That's literally my most favorite part of the job is, and it reminds you because this job isn't always easy, and seeing the babies and seeing the parents' happy faces at the end of it, even if they've had a hard journey, it literally reminds you of why you're doing this, because they're so happy. That's all they ever wanted.
So this reminds me that I see two questions most because I'm on all the groups in Facebook. I'm on all the surrogate groups. There's a surrogate compensation one. There's a safe space. I have to tell you, I am learning so much from those surrogates on that surrogate safe space Facebook group. Can't even tell you. Because, I was only pregnant for like a hot second because I would just get pregnant first trimester, maybe 8 weeks, 6 weeks, and then I would lose it. So I never got to experience that, and I'm learning so much. But there are two things that come up. A lot of surrogates and even some intended parents, but most, I think, intended parents say, what do I need an agency for? What do they do? Why do I, and even some surrogates say this, they make so much money. What do they do? I should just go independent. So why would you do an agency? What does an agency do? Yeah. Why do you need them? Because I hear that all the time.
Yeah. I mean, we've had people say that to us in the initial consultations as well. Like, what do you do? What does the agency do? And I have to explain to them that we are literally the middleman for all the different parties that are required in this process. There is a lot of moving parts. And if you're trying to do that as an intended parent on your own, that's going to be really hard because we are connected to your IVF clinic. We're connected to your lawyers. We connect you to the trust account management. We trust you to the psychologists. We help with the insurance aspect for baby, for maternal insurance. There's just so many moving parts, and the egg donor is separate from the surrogate. That's a whole other journey, separate from the surrogacy journey. And we are sort of that main point of contact that connects everybody so that the journey goes smoothly and all the steps are carried out correctly so that you don't run into issues and forget to do important things. And at the end of the day, it's stressful enough going into this process as an intended parent, but I couldn't imagine sort of trying to manage that entire process as well.
I couldn't, because I did my own surrogacy, and and I had done IVF, and it felt like I had never done IVF. It felt like a whole new world. And this was 20 years ago. So to do it now with the complexity, like insurance alone, and I worked for an insurance company,
Wild, wild,
I,
wild west.
yeah. And then there was an issue about, and I don't think people understand monitoring because usually your surrogate is not within 10 minutes of your clinic.
True.
So to get somebody monitored in and of itself is like a full-time job.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. These little things that you don't think about, all those little things that you have to do behind the scenes that the intended parents actually half the time don't even know about those little things that we're doing behind the scenes. Even preparing the paperwork for the lawyers for the legal contract. We have a whole checklist of things we need to prepare and make sure we have and everything's signed off on it's a lot of behind the scenes work that I think that intended parents don't
Right.
see
And
is going on.
you
So
have to
we
hit those dates. Like you as an agency, any agency gives us the med start date and that's our goal and we got to hit that date. But you're right, all the paperwork we need because you have to provide insurance information. When does it start? If it's open
yeah,
enrollment, right? If there's travel involved, how much does she get? Right? Right? For per diem a day, she has to fly. Her companion flies with her. Her companion
exactly.
gets a per
Booking the
diem.
travel. Yeah, as
The
well.
travel alone, just booking the travel and then making sure she gets her meds and did she get her calendar? And,
Exactly.
when you have that monitoring issue and the clinic didn't get the same day blood, I think we need to
Yeah.
explain.
It's a 24-hour job.
You do your blood work in the morning, so the clinic gets sent the results in the afternoon, so the clinic knows what to prescribe. Do I need to
Yeah.
up something? Do I need to downgrade? And if that information isn't there, then nobody wants that whole cycle derailed, right?
Exactly, exactly. And that's where we step in and we make sure it gets done. We are on the phone. We are contacting who we need to contact to make sure that everything doesn't fall apart because of a missed monitoring session or a result that didn't come through. Like we need to make it happen and take that stress off the intended parents, off the donor, off the surrogate. So yeah, it's definitely a complex, difficult job. It's not 9 to 5. I know we talked about, we were making jokes about that recently about
Because,
people.
I'll tell the story. When I first started 100 years ago, it seems like 100 years ago. No, actually, it kind of seems like yesterday, I want to say. But it's changed so much.
Yeah.
But this attorney said to me, and I'm friends with this attorney, he goes, this is a really great job as an attorney. And he had done some other work as an attorney, not in this field. He goes, it's just 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And I was kind of like, as a woman, because he's a man, kind of thinking, you don't get your period Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, right?
Yeah. So how does that
Babies,
work?
babies really aren't born Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So I'm like, every time, because usually if something happens, it always happens on a weekend.
Always, always.
Always, always.
Yep.
And
Yep.
usually in the middle of the night.
Absolutely.
Always.
Why wouldn't it?
Why wouldn't it? And, there's not a lot of nursing staff on the weekends. A lot of times they say they don't have the judgment of parentage, which they do,
Yeah.
but it's locked in a cabinet in the social worker's, drawer, right? She keeps that judgment of parentage very secure. And
Yeah.
of course, nobody can find it. Yeah, but it's not Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. It
Yeah.
really isn't. So
It's
yes,
not. Yeah, I think it's funny when people say things like that. I'm like, no, pretty sure we work round the clock.
we do. We work 24/7, right? Thank
Yeah.
God for a phone, right?
Yes,
And
exactly.
and then I have to say, which I really love this about surrogates and all the groups that they're on, because when they're a first time surrogate comes on, they'll say, "Oh, I'm thinking about going independent," because again, what does an agency do, right? And
Yeah,
and then all these repeat surrogates chime in and they go, "Do not go independent." Absolutely not. Your agency is there to support you,
for
right?
sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So, talk to me about how you support surrogates because that is really key. I think that's the one thing that has changed with so many agencies now. Surrogates are looking to be supported, they are looking to have an agency and a person that's going to be there for them. I mean, it is called IVF Parent, and we do not want to discount the parents in any way. But, like, I tell my parents when they say, it's my baby. And, I sometimes, what's going on? Why is it all about the surrogate? And I say, well,
Well, it's your baby, but her body.
her body, she is the pregnant person right now.
Yeah,
She is the
yeah,
one that is carrying and growing a human being in her body, your child. And I think because the journey has been so long for them, they don't understand the process fully. And I tell them, your day in the sun comes when your baby's born. Until then, it
yeah,
is all about her. And I think
absolutely.
especially since COVID, these surrogates are really pushing for it's kind of all about me. So,
Mhm.
really, how do you support the surrogates? Because if the surrogate is supported, then typically, and it's a good match, then it goes well. I mean, all things considered, because it's pregnancy and childbirth and nobody knows
Yeah,
till it's over.
true, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously want to be everybody's advocate. We need to sort of be there for all parties and their wants and wishes. That's why it's so important to make sure that everyone's on the same page before even matching. So it's finding the right match is the very first thing we do to support the surrogate. We're not just going to, give her a profile for an intended parent and say, this is who you need to match with, because yeah, their baby surrogate's body. And ultimately, she needs to be able to advocate for herself and have someone support her and back her if she has any special requests or wants support and someone to stand by her through this process and be there for her. And a lot of the times, the intended parents are also international in a lot of cases. They're not local to her. So they don't have that hands-on support from the intended parents all the time. And they have family, of course, but we also want them to know that they can always come to us. We provide them with counseling and support services throughout the journey as well. So if and when they decide to use them, they don't have to, but if they feel they want support from other surrogates or want some extra counseling sessions, that is available for them throughout the entire journey. Obviously, they have direct contact with their coordinators. We always start like WhatsApp groups, message us any time of the day. And usually they're with I'm obviously in Europe, but we'll add our colleagues that are in the US that are close to them, that can answer them sort of at most times of the day. And we're always there to just sort of make sure that we have their back and that nobody's taking advantage of them and their wishes and that they're on the same page as the intended parents. I think everybody needs to be supported equally. It is sort of it's a mutual journey together. And yeah, it's really important that the surrogate feels like she's being heard and not taken advantage of, and that she's also enjoying this journey because she's also doing it because she wants to help someone and it's special for her as well. So we need to make sure she knows that.
Right, because I do, when I talk to people, I tell them, listen, the surrogate really, really wants to help somebody. That's the first reason why they do that.
For sure.
They either know somebody who had infertility, right? A family
Yeah.
member, a friend, and then
Yeah.
they love everything about being pregnant. Except it's they do. I love them on that safe space group and those groups because they're like, oh, dude, the third trimester, right? I mean,
Yep.
it's a lot, right?
I mean, it's fair enough.
Fair
Third
enough.
trimester is rough,
Yeah.
but that's what I say. I think it's a common misconception for a lot of people going to U.S., especially for surrogacy, that they're just doing it for the money, and it's absolutely not the case. And I actually like when I get that question on consultations, like why this is they're just doing it for the money in the U.S. That's why we want to go to like Canada to do it, where they're not doing it for the money. And I'm like, the US surrogates are doing it for the exact same reason as the Canadian surrogates. They just get a compensation because they're legally allowed to get a compensation.
Yeah.
And rightly so. At the end of the day, they're carrying a baby for someone else. There's physical dangers with that, psychological. That's tough. That's not easy. It puts their family on hold for a bit. It's a
Exactly.
huge commitment. And I think they deserve a compensation. I actually think there would be more surrogates available in Canada if there was some sort of
If
compensation
you
for
could pay
women.
them. Yep.
Yeah.
I tell people they cannot, again, the 9 to 5 thing, they cannot
Yeah.
say, it's 5 o'clock. I don't want to be pregnant now. I'm done.
Exactly. It's a commitment. Once you're in, you're in. So
You're
you can't go
in.
back once you're pregnant. In my opinion, it deserves some sort of compensation. You know, they're helping you and you're helping them. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But are they doing it for the money? Is that the driving factor? No, it never is. We talk to all the surrogates, and that's never the driving factor.
No.
I mean, there are some business style relationships, which is absolutely fine.
Yep.
Again, we're not here to judge anyone. If the intended parents and surrogate both don't want sort of that bond, they just want to do a business transaction, I'll carry your baby for compensation, as long as everybody's on that same wavelength, absolutely fine to do. But most surrogates, I would say, and intended parents want to have that relationship,
Yeah.
and the compensation is just an added bonus for doing this for someone.
Exactly. Because you cannot be pregnant just for the money. And you said such an important point. Women should get paid for this. It's their health, it's their body, it's psychological, it's physical. There's that scary book, What to Expect When You're Expecting, because nobody tells you when you go to your OB or your midwife, whoever you go to when you're first pregnant, the very first time, they don't sit you down and go, "Oh, Hilary, I'm so happy you're pregnant. Now let me tell you everything that can go wrong."
Yeah, no, never. You don't hear a single thing.
So when something happens and like, well, that you could have this, and the doctor goes, "Oh, that's really common." You're like, "What?"
You're like, "Wait a minute, what? I thought everything was just easy."
Yeah, it's a piece of cake. I have to say, though, you said something really important, because I always get this question when I go to a party and I tell people what I do. I'm like, yeah, I do surrogacy and egg donation. I'm an attorney. I help people have babies. And then I stop talking and I wait for it, because it's going to come. Always comes. And they go, "So, how many times have you had to cross state lines to get a baby the surrogate has taken?" And I go,
We get that.
"Never. That's a movie."
Yeah.
It's really good TV. I think Netflix just did a show on that.
Yeah.
Right?
Go watch the movie. It's out.
Yeah. I think there's like 3 of them, maybe 4.
Yeah.
Because the surrogate doesn't want the baby. She has her own family, her own life. Right?
She does not. Yes. She doesn't struggle to conceive. She doesn't need to go through that much effort to have a baby if she really wanted one.
Right.
And I say the exact same thing, Stephanie, I like on consults, because I get that question all the time as well. And I said, I've been in this industry for a really long time, and I've never once seen a surrogate change her mind or try to change her mind, because legally they can't change their mind anyway, but try to change her mind. But I have seen a few intended parents over the years change their mind. And that really kind of put things into perspective, I think, with them, because they're like, what? Like they hadn't even thought that, why would intended parent change their mind? Usually it's if, they're maybe not genetically related. The few cases I've seen over the years, which weren't even directly mine, I've just heard about them in the industry.
Yes.
They weren't genetically related to the embryos, but left the surrogate with a baby that she wasn't intending to keep. And now she has to decide what she wants to do. And that's what I've seen over the years, very rarely as well. Both are very rare, but I've never seen a surrogate try to change her mind.
It's very rare. Surrogates don't do that, but you're absolutely right. There have been cases where intended parents, again, it's very rare. It's usually when an egg donor is involved, for sure.
Yeah.
But then the other party, usually if it's heterosexual, if it's opposite sex, the sperm comes from the intended father. So if the surrogate, though, then here's the thing, as an attorney, if that happens, again, why you need a good agency. The agency supports the surrogate. The attorneys get involved, because I nearly had that happen twice, and we all banded together. We got together with the agency. We supported the surrogate. I tell you, I talked to that surrogate. It was an extraordinary conception. I talked to her. Oh, maybe it was. I can't remember. I talked to her nearly every day, multiple times a day. And the intended parents in both those cases came through, and it was a money issue for them, for both of them, right? So it was a money issue, and they just felt they didn't have the money, and they were devastated, and she was devastated. But we were legitimately going, the surrogate was never going to be the parent in both situations. We did not abandon the surrogate. Right. And that, I think, is why you need a good agency. And a good agency, yes, there are great agencies that just started. I can think of a couple, right? But really and truly, in this day and age right now, when there's over 400 agencies, an agency that's been in business and they've been in business a long time, I think that's important, right? And an agency that has seen those ups and downs and can help with all sorts of different things that happen. But we supported her, and she was never going to be the parent, ever, because you don't want to abandon your surrogate. Never. Yeah.
And that's what an experienced agency, you're absolutely right, can help with, because we've been in the industry a really long time. There's probably been one or two cases where we needed to really jump in and work as a team and pull the lawyers, pull the counselors, and work together to try and fix the situation. Whereas newer agencies sometimes don't have that experience, and might end up being the guinea pig if something happens, because it's never just a linear path. And usually the bumps aren't huge. Usually there's just little bumps in the road. It's never just a linear path. Like maybe results are delayed or the transfer doesn't happen the first time. So it's very rare that everything is just perfect from start to finish. But again, agency is there to support you through all of those little bumps and reassure you everything's okay, let you know what we're going to do to help you get past those little bumps, whether they're small or medium or large ones. And that's what the agency's there to do, because if you're trying to handle that on your own, good luck. We've had intended parents actually that have said, you know what, I'm going to do this on my own. We've decided financially it works better for us, and I think we can do it. I'm like, okay, yeah. Okay. I mean, good luck. And I usually say, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to give you some advice and stuff like that. And that's absolutely fine. Especially with intended parents that sometimes work with you for the first journey, and then they just use the same surrogate and they think, oh, you know what, we already did this together. We're going to do it on our own now. And we're just like, okay, I mean, that's your decision. And I usually, in that case, will say, reach out if you have any questions. Yeah. They usually end up coming back, though. They usually say, you know what, this is harder than I thought. Right. Can we get your support through this journey? And we bring them back on to help them, because it's hard. You don't realize what's going on.
I think it's way harder than when I started. I really think it's just so much more complex. Right. Yep. I really do. But when you brought up a good point about the business-like relationship, I think some people don't understand that there are some surrogates who don't want a best friend. I represented one, and she perfectly matched, because the intended parents didn't want to. I mean, they FaceTimed, when they got the results, when they got the anatomy scan. But this is a surrogate who works full time, has 5 kids, right?
She doesn't outside of this too.
She doesn't have time to have a best friend, right?
Yeah, she's got best friends, and I mean, fair enough. I mean, all of these women have a life outside of the surrogacy. Right. And we also have to support them. Going back to your earlier question about supporting the surrogates as well, it's setting boundaries for the intended parents and for the surrogates, because ultimately she's doing this for you. She's invested in this for you, but we also have to respect that she has children, she has a partner, maybe she has potentially a job, she has things going on in her life, friends, family, and this isn't her whole life. It's going to be a big portion for a while, but it's not her whole life, and we need to make sure that everyone's respecting each other's boundaries through this journey as well. Obviously, we don't want the surrogate to never talk to the intended parents if they've agreed upon sort of getting to know each other and staying in touch. Right. Then that's when also we're there to sort of give the nudge and try to, help with the communication. But we also have to let the intended parents know, if you don't hear from her in a day, or, because sometimes the intended parents can be a little bit, they want to hear.
They're like, oh my gosh, what happened?
what happened? Why isn't she answering me? And we have to be like, she's fine. We just talked to her. She's just been really busy the last couple of days.
Her kids
No big
started
deal.
school.
Yeah, exactly. There are
Yeah.
things going on outside of this as well. So we need to make sure, help with communication as well. Sometimes it's a language barrier, sometimes it's distance and time zones and things like that. So we kind of breach the gap as well as the
Yeah. I have to say for sure. There's another thing that I really didn't get, obviously, never being pregnant, right? And, delivering and everything. I remember my surrogate saying to me, because because my kids were born I'm in California. My kids were not born in California. They were born in the state of Oregon. And at the time I had to adopt them. The law has changed now. So nobody going through
Thankfully.
surrogacy, people always
We're
look at
not
me and they
good,
go,
actually.
they were like, weren't you upset you had to adopt your children? And I'm like, no, because
Yeah.
I finally got them.
Yeah.
I could have cared less. I was like,
What the process was, I'm going to do it.
whatever. What do I need to do? Do a
Yeah.
handstand? Actually, I can't really do a handstand. It's one of my
I'm
goals.
sure you could if you tried, actually, Stephanie.
I know, but it takes like a really long time. I follow this swimmer. She's a competitive swimmer. Dude, I
Yeah.
tell you, she probably doesn't drink alcohol. I'm sorry. Yes, I do drink a little,
Yeah.
right?
We just have a G&T here and there.
Right, here and there. And 'cause she's like a competitive master swimmer. And it took her a year to do a handstand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy.
No, it's not easy for sure. But she said to me, listen, Stephanie, when we go to the airport with your babies, I'm going to cry. I don't want your kids. Don't even think that I want your kids. It's the hormone drop.
Yeah.
There's a hormone drop thing? Oh, okay. Of course there is, right? And of course, we go, right? We go to the airport and she sobs. I mean,
Aw.
just sobs, right?
She warned you at least.
She warned me at least. So
Yeah.
now I think, agencies like 10, years ago, they were supporting the surrogates. And of course, psychological check-ins and monthly support has really
Yep.
advanced because it wasn't there before.
Sure.
But now they're talking about the fourth trimester and really continuing that support for the surrogate.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely do. Actually, that's something we integrated in the last couple of years as well, because although we did continue to follow up with the surrogate and support her, we realized actually after the birth, it's a whole other trimester of pregnancy.
It really is. So yeah, talk about that, because that I should need to do a post on that group and say, you gals, I've learned so much from you.
Yeah,
for sure.
you should, honestly. I'm sure they appreciate that, honestly,
Yeah.
because it's really interesting because, yeah, I mean, after the birth and the absence of, not that they wanted to keep the baby or had any connection to the baby, like as a mother or anything, but they've held this baby, the hormones are going through their body for a whole, 10 months. And then they birth the baby and then the parents have the baby, and it's just them, their hormones, trying to get their body back to pre-pregnancy, like trying to do their Kegels, trying to get everything back to where it was before. It's emotional journey as well after. And yeah, that hormone drop and things like that. We realized women need extra support, and postpartum blues as well can happen. And we can't just sort of let the surrogates just check in once a week or, just be like, hey, how's it going? And they just say, fine. We need to make sure that they are fine, that they're fully supported, both financially, they have what they need to get themselves back to pre-pregnancy shape, both physically and mentally. And that can go on for, months after the birth as well. So we started sort of incorporating, we've been doing support following the birth for a long time, but we've actually started to sort of financially add those benefits to our packages as well for the surrogate after the birth as well, just to make sure that they're fully supported in all the different things that they may need following the birth to help them get back to their pre-pregnancy state, like I said, physically and mentally, because it is a whole thing. The fourth trimester is no joke.
And I can see how, again, for the parents and parents to be, the surrogate does not want your baby at all. But I think her body, the absence of a baby is something that her body doesn't get, right? It's not that she wants the baby, so that support for that fourth trimester, besides, like you said, the hormone drop, so when I was going to law school, this doctor told me, and yes, I went to law school later, and I was still doing IVF and all the things and working full time.
I don't know how you did it all, but
Yeah, I don't really know how I did it. I just added it. I just added everything, and then it just kind of happened. I don't know. But he said to me, he's a physician. He goes, Stephanie, pregnancy, and this is the first time I ever heard pregnancy is really hard on a woman's body. And I went, because again, nobody tells us about our periods and being pregnant and menopause. They tell us nothing. I said, really? What? Why? He goes, all your organs in your whole entire body get shifted. I was like,
you're like, wait, what?
I was like,
you're like, wait a minute, does it just like grow in the front?
And we're women, and we didn't even, I was like, oh my God, I was slightly horrified by that.
You're horrified, shocked. You're like, wait a minute, what?
What?
It's so true.
It's so true. So all those things have to try to go back to where they were before the baby. So I'm so glad that the EC, Extraordinary Exemptions, has incorporated the fourth trimester, because that is huge for it. Yes, intended parents, you have your baby. So they're, not sleeping, because I remember I didn't go through the fourth trimester. So I was in the whole sleeping every 2 hours and taking care of my baby. But as an intended parent who didn't go through the birth, I didn't have all those hormone things going through. Yeah. I had to figure out how to take care of a baby, which again, we are not birds. We do not know how to do this on our own. We need help.
Wing it.
We wing it. Wing it. Yes. No, actually, do you know what I did? For my intended parents, this is what I tell them. Because again, not a bird. So I don't really know. And I say bird because I follow Jackie and Shadow, and I follow the sea eagles in Australia now. So yes, there are eagles.
You do. I remember you told me that.
I know. And my clients in Australia, he's like, what, you follow the rugby team?
You're like, no, the actual birds.
The eagle rugby team? Of course they are, because there's sea eagles in Australia. I get it now. Yeah.
It's all adding up.
I know, right? So so then intended parents, you're doing the late nights and all those things, right? So what I did, and this is what I tell my intended parents, and oh my gosh, the poor intended parents, at least when my kids were born, it was transitioning out of the nursery, hadn't fully happened yet. Because remember, back in the day, babies were in a nursery, the nurses took care of them. The mom, the pregnant woman, whoever she was, gave birth, got to sleep and be with her baby. They'd bring him in, bring him out, but they do a lot. Okay, so that was transitioning out, right?
Yeah.
So the intended parents now, if they can, they admit the baby into a room. So the intended parents are with the baby the whole time, right?
Exactly.
Again, not a bird. What do you do? So I was like a little shadow. I followed all the nurses. Oh no, really, I did. I asked them a bazillion questions, and I'm not a question gal. I think I wait and learn, and I know the answer is going to eventually come. I'm not one of those people that how do you do that? How do you do this? How do you do the swaddle, which babies, because they're like this, so they love to be swaddled. I'm like, okay, the bath time, the this, the that, the feeding. How many hours do I feed them? What do I do? Seriously. And then of course, I'm thinking as she's picking up my babies, they're like swinging them. I'm like, could you just not? In my head, I'm like, oh my gosh.
I think a lot of new parents overthink things that you could read as many books as you want leading up to your baby's being born, and then when your baby's born, that's all out the window and you're just winging it and you overthink everything. Even the simplest task, you're like, I don't know how to bathe someone, I don't know how to change a diaper, all these things that are probably simple tasks, but because you're a new parent, you don't want to hurt them, you don't want to do any harm, you're just nervous about every little thing that you do.
And then you watch the nurses baby.
Nothing. like nothing. You're like, wait a minute, what? I know I did the same thing when our girls
Right?
were born. I literally in the hospital, just fully relying on the nurse. And I'm a nurse and I have a pediatrics
Isn't it
background,
funny?
but but I'm sitting there like I know nothing. Like the
It's almost like
nurse
your
help me.
brain, like when you
Yeah.
see the baby and you're like,
Yeah. You're like, what do I do now?
what do I do now? That is, that's probably really comforting for intended parents to hear because you're a pediatric nurse and you were
Yeah.
still like, I can't do this. I cannot.
Yeah.
I,
You
I
panic when
remember,
it's your own.
I remember the nurse, and I tell my intended parents this. I remember them, we had to bring up the car seats. We had twins. It's a whole
Yeah.
other story back in the day, dark ages of IVF. We don't want twins now, but if it happens, we'll support you. So bring
Yeah.
up the two car seats because they're like, "Where's your car seat?" I'm like, "Okay," because they're very strict
Yeah. They
about
still
that.
do that. They still check the car seats. Yeah.
Yep. The nurse was okay. I asked questions. They were very specific about showing me how to put them in the car seat. They made me practice, right?
Yep.
Made me
Yep.
practice. Right. Walk down. Oh my God, those car seats of those babies are heavier than you think. You walk
Oh
around
my
and think,
God.
oh, dude, seriously.
They are extremely heavy.
Extremely heavy with the baby in. I mean, and I had 415 and 5'2". I'm in the US, it's pounds. I have no idea what that is and why we're not in the metric system. A whole other conversation
Yeah,
about that.
that's the next podcast.
That's really right. I mean, once I found out that we were not going to go to the metric system, which is fives and tens, which is so easy to like add and subtract, right? And then they said, okay, no, we're going to stay with our system of sevens and fours. I'm like, I'm out. I'm not learning it.
Yeah,
I'm done.
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 Yeah, I don't need to know this.
I never really have. Yeah. So then, walk down, get in the car, shows me how to strap in, straps him in, tugs him in, and then, shuts the door in the back. And I'm not in the middle because again, it's twins, right? And then she
Yeah.
gives me a big hug. And I'm like, oh my God,
Leave me.
you're not coming with me.
Please come with me.
Seriously, the panic, the panic.
Yeah,
I'm like,
so true.
we've got
I
this.
remember that.
Thank you. Get in the car, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And we're at a hotel because, again, we don't live in Oregon. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm like trying to do this. I'm thinking, I'm not panicking. I'm panicking inside. Outside, I probably look so calm,
yeah.
right? And I just remember when they woke up in the middle of the night, I fed them, my nurse and everything. And then when I woke up in the morning, which is probably like 4:30, 5 o'clock, because babies, right? I went, okay, I can do this. They're still alive. I can do this.
Yeah,
Right?
they made it through the night.
Right. So that's for the intended parents, but the surrogates
Yeah.
got this whole like 3 months, whole other
Yeah.
fourth trimester thing going on. So
Absolutely. And the intended parents, because of all of those reasons, are rightly so focused on their baby or babies, and they don't have that time to support the surrogate after the birth through that fourth trimester. And that's again where the agency can support the surrogate after the birth because we can continue to be there to support them when the parents are really busy with their baby in those first few months.
because
So,
now it's probably on the flip side. During the surrogacy, the parents are like, why isn't she getting back to me like so quickly, right? And she's busy.
yeah.
And now it's flipped because
Yeah.
now the surrogate is the one who needs all that support, and the intended parents are the ones that are busy with their newborn. And it's not like I mean, I am going to be forever lifelong grateful to the woman who gave birth to my children. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have my children because of her, right? But
Yeah.
because you don't talk to her every day, you're busy with your newborn, doesn't mean, for the most part, it doesn't mean you don't absolutely love and adore her. You're just
Yeah.
sleep deprived and kind of
For
crazy
sure.
and bleary eyed and, doing all the things you do for a newborn, for sure.
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, the surrogates have had children before. They are usually understanding of that, but they also love that they have someone to support them during that. I mean, they have their either partners or family and things like that, but to lean on. But it's nice to be able to just have the agency to really like cheer them on, get them through those 3 months following the birth. It's really difficult. Make sure if they want some counseling or to talk about anything, that will set them up with that right away. They have full access to, groups and things with other surrogates. And I think they really, really enjoy that. And I think it's one of the reasons why we get so many repeat surrogates, because of the experience and support that they have. And most of our surrogates come to us through word of mouth, through other surrogates as well. So, which is really nice, because obviously they wouldn't be telling their friends to come to us if they didn't get that support. So, which is really nice, because it really speaks to how well we look after our surrogates at the end of the day, and make sure that they're equally as important in this journey, if not, more important in lots of, like you said at the very beginning, during the pregnancy, it's about the surrogate. And we really, really, hone in on that as well, and just make sure that she feels good throughout the process.
Right. Because it's a balance, right? Like as an attentive parent, you don't want to be neglected, but
for sure.
During the pregnancy, the attentive parents, I really think the attentive parent's job, and that's why a good match is so important. Whatever your match is, if it's a business-like relationship or it's, you're so close and you're besties. And I didn't have any counseling because, again, dark ages of surrogacy, right? But I instinctively knew my job was to support her in whatever way she needed to be supported.
Yeah.
That was my job during the surrogacy. And I think for intended parents, yes, the agency is going to be there to, oh my gosh, you poor things, answer insurance questions and IVF and this and that and her OBGYN, because, for the intended parents, you get so much information with your, during the first 10 weeks. But then after that, she goes to a doctor. So you are not getting, as a parent, you're not getting all that information. So the agency is there to help provide that. But I think for a parent, that is their goal, is like you support your surrogate and you are going to have, for the most, a great journey. That's the job.
Yeah. And honestly, most of my intended parents are so sweet and literally are always thinking about the surrogate first, which I absolutely love. If they, like, for example, I had an intended parents recently. Unfortunately, the surrogate didn't get pregnant after the third embryo transfer, and they made the difficult decision, even though they absolutely loved each other. They had to break the match based on the doctor's recommendations to find a new surrogate. And all they cared about was making sure that she was okay, and they want to stay in touch with her, and they didn't want her to feel bad. And they asked us if they could review, an email they were going to send her before they gave her a call. And I looked at it to make sure, and I said, if you want my help, if you want me to communicate it to her, whatever you want. And I thought it was really special. And that's just one example, but I thought it was really nice that they were going through a tough time. They've been in this journey for a long time. They haven't gotten pregnant through, surrogacy yet. And now they need to get a new surrogate, yet they're still focused on the surrogate and her feelings. Yeah. And I loved that. I thought that was really, really sweet. And most of my intended parents are like that too, which I absolutely love, because they do create such a special bond, and that's hard as well. When it doesn't work together.
That's hard for the surrogate, hard for the parents. Oh.
Yeah, it's a really hard, and I can't say that, it doesn't happen often, but obviously
it doesn't, with all the testing, but it can happen some way, somehow.
Yeah, it's a human process at the end of the day. And I always tell intended parents this, like, we try to control as much as we can, but there's always going to be things we can't control, the clinics can't control, the lawyers can't control. It's nature at the end of the day. And we have to just make sure that if these things come up, what's the solution? What's the next step? And be there to support everybody. I know, Stephanie, you and I met intended parents recently in Germany. Our German intended parents, our German guys that we love so much, went through a 7-year-long journey, not with us. They had different agencies. I'm not going to get into the whole story, but I literally love them. And weirdly, I was their nurse, small world, back at the clinic in Canada for years, helped them create their embryos, and then I relocated to the UK where I am now, and didn't speak to them for a couple years, and then I ran into them at a big event, and I was like, wow, like thinking in my mind they must have at least had their first child, they're back for their second, because it's been years, and no, they just had, unsuccessful journey after unsuccessful journey, and they had to switch agencies, and anyways, ended up finding them a surrogate. The first surrogate didn't work out. I'm like, oh my gosh, these poor guys. Now it's been like years. 3 surrogates gone. We're on our 4th surrogate now. And anyways, long story short, finally she got pregnant. They have their little girl back at home now. They are over the actual moon. I am still in regular touch with them. Absolutely love these guys. And I know that Stephanie and I have gone to visit them, and we plan to again soon.
I love them. And I love the fact that not that you forced them, but you did not let them give up. They had embryos. You did not let them give up. I remember going to dinner with them, and they maybe had 2% hope because I think it was after the transfer and we were waiting for results.
Yeah.
I think they were like, it was almost like looking in a mirror when I was going through IVF, because their journey was as long as mine. Yeah. And they were at the point where they just thought nothing is going to work.
They honestly said many times that, you know what, I think after this next transfer, we're done. Like, we're just going to give up on this dream. And I was like, no, please do not. I swear it's going to happen for you. And like, just trying to encourage them so many times, because they were giving up hope left, right, and center after the transfers didn't work, after switching surrogates again. Like, it was so hard for them. And I was just like, no, you're not. We need to keep trying. And thankfully, they had a good number of embryos. Yes. That was one thing. They had a massive, like, their egg donor did amazingly well. They had a lot of great quality embryos. So, I mean, a lot of people don't. They run out of embryos by this point, but thankfully they did actually have quite a few embryos. And anyways, it finally did happen for them. And I know we're like, it literally was probably my best story at Best Intended Parents, because it was just such a long journey, and just, to meet them again after all those years, and then help them on the surrogacy side of things after I helped them as their nurse was pretty cool as well. And just going to be in touch with them, I think.
Kind of like full circle. I cannot wait to see them next year.
Oh, me too. Yeah. Yeah. I've already told them. Actually, they sent me some photos recently, and they said pass along to Stephanie, so I will send those to you.
I can't wait. That's what I like to say. That's what I say to everybody. And I think this is a great way to end, because I always tell somebody, like, yes, I know for them, adoption, it's different. I'm in the US, you're in the UK. We deal with a lot of Europeans, and adoption is very, very difficult, not impossible. But that story gives people hope that, some journeys are longer than others. But if you really want to be a parent, you can be.
You can be, and you will be. Yeah, sometimes it just takes a little bit longer, and absolutely. I feel the exact same way. And I think that, a lot of people will say, just adopt. Adoption isn't, they think they assume that adoption is just easy. Just walk in and you say,
let me go around the corner. I'm going to go to the store, the adoption store.
Yeah, and just pick out a baby, and there we go. But we also have to understand some people want to have, rightly so, their own genetics passed down as well, if they can. That's important to some people as well. So, I mean, both things are hard, adoption and surrogacy, and it's pick your heart, but there are options. And yes, sometimes it's not going to be a straight path, but you have to work with the right people in this. To be able to take you through, from start to finish.
You do. All right. I think we're done, right?
Amazing. Cool.
I think we're good.
It's amazing.
All right.
Thanks for having me.